Hello, 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 everyone. I am here with you, but I am super sick. You can probably hear it in my voice. I've been sick since last night, which is why I didn't stream. I got home from a trip out of town and I felt like crap, so I was like, I'm not going to stream. And today I am feeling even worse. So here we are. It's going to be low energy, so I'm not going to be on camera, unfortunately. But I am joined by 3Dub. 3Dub here with me tonight. Hello, 3Dub.
Hello.
So we have some interesting topics to talk about. We probably will not be live for very long, but we hope that you guys will hang out with us while we go through all these topics. I did send a link out to Jake, so he might show up, but we'll see. Anyway, how have you been, 3Dub? What's going on with you?
Pretty good. Just recovering from itchy skin. Pollen allergic reaction.
Oh, yeah. I think mine is a combination of allergies and somebody gave me a cold this weekend. It was a very busy weekend because it's the... it was a holiday weekend. So a lot of people I was busy. I had so many things going on, and then I interacted with a lot of people. And even being careful and not mingling too much, I still managed to get sick with something. So anyway, it is what it is. Hopefully it doesn't last too long. I've got stuff going on this week and I don't want to be sick while that stuff is happening. I got to clean the house and everything. Anyway, I thought we would jump into the topics tonight are going to be the Hulk news on Spider-Man. We got the information on Michael Rooker's Peacemaker character. I'm still a little bit concerned about that, but we'll talk about that in a second. And the Harry Potter stuff, which will be the end of the stream. But first, before we get into that, I would like to talk about some of the stuff that James Gunn has, like the announcement stuff that hasn't happened yet, because I think it'd be kind of interesting to go through and see what is being worked on and what has been... I don't know, kind of push back a little bit. Hey, Gwendolyn, how are you doing? Thank you, everybody who's telling me that I get better. I really hope so. By the time I come back on Thursday night, I want to be back to my normal self. Anyway, so let's take a look at this thread here. And we're going to go through. Obviously, Creature Commandos was one of them. We got the first season. We know we're getting at least a couple more seasons. And these were all basically James Gunn's pet project. Did you like Creature Command? Did you watch it? I don't even know if you watched the whole thing.
I didn't watch it.
Okay. I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't... I don't think it was a good introduction to the DCU. I feel like it could have been better.
I'm saving myself for Superman.
Yeah, I understand. So I think it could have been a little better. And then we obviously have Superman, which comes out on July 11th. I think this movie... because we saw at Comic-Con, they're not going to have a big presence at Comic-Con. Apparently at Comic-Con, they're just going to be talking about Peacemaker, I think is what they said. I might have to go back and check, but I think that's what the news said, is that Peacemaker was the only thing they were bringing to Comic-Con. So no Supergirl.
They really like talking about Peacemaker.
Yeah, Well, I mean, they're actively working on it, and it's coming out soon. So there's that. We have Jake just jumped in. Hello, Jake.
Hello there. I can see myself on the camera this time.
Yeah, you're the only one on cam tonight. I don't have a cam, so it's going to be just you. So
what if I did that?
You can do that if you want. If you want to be consistent, you can.
Yeah.
We were just talking about. We're starting out. We're not covering the big topics yet. We're starting out with this one. This is basically going over everything that James Gunn announced that is either in production or pushed on the back burner. And we start out with Creature Commandos. Did you watch Creature Commandos, Jake?
Oh yeah. Yep.
What did you think of it?
Really liked it. Kind of like how each episode was, divided up into bits where you had the main story, but then the B plot was kind of the backstory for a certain character per episode. Liked how it did it in that anthology style, and really did a lot of great world building all the while, which I think was, along with the source material that they were tackling, which was some pretty dark stuff. I think the world building that they managed to do, whether that was through a character shown, a city referenced, things like that I think is one of their crowning achievements for this series, because it was the start of a universe.
Yeah, so the only issue I had with it is I thought it was a weird thing to start the DCU with. That was my only complaint, is I thought it was a little strange that was the beginning of it.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Isn't the tag, though, Gods and Monsters? Or Monsters and Gods?
That was the original. I don't know if that's the tag, but that was the original, the statement from them on they didn't call it a phase. They called it something else.
Chapter.
Yeah,
Chapter
I think.
1. Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. Which kind of makes sense if you think about Creature Commanders as a bunch of monsters.
Right. I don't know what the gods reference is though, other than
Superman, apparently.
I don't want Superman to be considered a god in this universe. I like
Me too.
That was one of the biggest mistakes they made with the DCEU was, you know, making Superman this god figure. I felt like that was really stupid.
You didn't really get to see as much of the man.
Right. They just kind of jumped over all that. So we have this coming out. I think that they're waiting to see how this goes before anything else goes into production other than the stuff that's already going into production right now.
I will say I think they jumped the shark a little bit just with all
Jumped the gun?
because they announced a bunch of stuff that like we don't even know if or when it's being put into production and just put a lot of stuff out early, which was one of the things that screwed over the previous, Warner Brothers regimes, that they just, would throw 20 things at the wall and hope that some of them sticked, and hardly any of them did.
Yeah, so we got this one, and then we have the Peacemaker Season 2, which we have a character, the Michael Rooker character. We kind of know who he is now. We'll talk about that when we're done with this. But he's an original character. We'll dive more into that in just a moment. But so we have this coming back. They're doing all kinds of promos with this. I'm seeing a lot of advertising for this. I think they really want this to do well. I don't know. Are you guys seeing a lot of advertising for Peacemaker? I feel like it's everywhere right now.
All over social media.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like I'm seeing it all over social media. Like Peacemaker, behind the scenes photos, cast stuff, Michael Rooker sharing videos of stuff. Like, I feel like it's all over right now. They're promoting the hell out of it. What did you think of Peacemaker, Jake?
So I actually was not that big a fan of the first season of Peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
I acknowledge that it's, from a film TV production standpoint, I acknowledge it's well made, it's well put together, well shot, well edited. It follows all the, it follows all the production rules. I just really do not like the character of Christopher Smith, so it was hard for me to get invested.
Gotcha. Oh, by the way, in the chat, there's no goal tonight because, like I said, I'm under the weather, so I'm not gonna do that. If you guys want to super chat, you can. Of course, I appreciate it. But the stream's probably not going to go for long anyway, so if you do want to super chat, you should probably get it in ASAP.
Hope you start feeling better.
Oh, speaking of, thank you, Jake. Cameron with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Cameron. Maybe James Gunn possibly give us the first suit of Supergirl and Green Lantern at San Diego Comic-Con. So the only thing that I've heard about Comic-Con is they're going to promote Peacemaker. I haven't heard about Green Lantern or Supergirl. Has anybody else seen that? From what I understand, they're not going to have a big presence this year, which is weird.
I think they're going to kind of do what they did with Superman and not wait till 2 or 3 months and then start promoting the suit.
I just think it's a little weird because Comic-Con is before Peacemaker Season 2, right? I believe it is. Yeah, Peacemaker 2 Season 2 is in August, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Comic-Con is the week of Fantastic Four. Yeah,
so it is that point. I don't see why they wouldn't give a tease of Supergirl, except they're just trying really hard to make sure Superman is a success. I don't see how promoting Supergirl at Comic-Con would change that. If anything, it might drive more interest in it. Because people will see, Supergirl's coming up, and they're excited for that, so they're going to go see Superman. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
We'll still be a year out from Supergirl at this Comic-Con, so...
So you're not worried about, any sort of tease at all at Comic-Con?
I think Go ahead, Jake.
I'm not expecting one, I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get something around, Christmas time.
I think they might wait till next year's CinemaCon. That's what.
Or the Super Bowl.
I don't know if they put Supergirl in the Super Bowl. I don't know if they would do that. Maybe they will. I believe that the type of promotion we're going to see for Supergirl is going to be based on the reception of Superman. I think that's what's going to happen.
The only other thing I'm worried about in regards to, Supergirl at its current place and release, it's releasing the same month as Spider-Man Brand New Day. So that could potentially hurt it, and I don't want it to hurt it.
Yeah, with the movies doing what they're doing now, I wouldn't put them so close together from any studio. Just it's a roll of the dice.
Yeah, I'm glad Disney was at least kind of smart in that regard, and that they took, the Avengers movies and delayed them. Not only does it give them more time to, get everything ironed out, touch up the visual effects, make sure they can lock down, people for production scenes, but also Disney's not having to compete with themselves. So now Mando and Grogu is, left completely free for May.
Yeah. Hey, Ethan, how are you doing? Sorry, I missed that. All right, so then we have Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which comes out on June 26, 2026. This one we know is the only other film I think it's the only other film that's doing, well, they actually wrapped on it, right? I mean, that's done. So they're done with production on this. They're in post-production at this point.
Is it June as its release date? Because I swore it was July.
Is it June?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, Spider-Man is June. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay.
Or Spider-Man is July. Christ, I can't talk.
Then we have the Lanterns TV series, which is going to release sometime in early 2026, which is why I'm shocked that they're not doing any of this at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Like, where else are you going to advertise this between now and then? I feel like there's not a lot.
And the only other option you would really have is New York Comic-Con.
And that was not really known for big reveals, typically.
No, it's not.
So,
and I mean, like when they were at New York Comic-Con last time, the only thing they really had was the Creature Commandos coverage. And I mean, granted, because not a lot was even out in this new DC slate, or none of it was out, and there hadn't been progress made on a lot because Superman had just gotten done filming.
Right. So, all right. Well, next we have, okay, so we're getting into the stuff that's kind of like iffy at this point. So the Clayface film has got a current release date of September 11th, 2026. But I don't think is there any like movement on this since the last time we talked about it, which has been like a couple months ago?
No.
Don't believe so.
So it's still just kind of sitting, waiting.
Yeah.
Again, I think waiting for Superman. I think they're waiting to see what Superman is going to do.
Yeah.
Then we have the Batman 2, which is not the DCU, but it is part of the DC properties. 2027. So the current release date is October 1st, 2027. I don't think it's going to hit that date.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's moved. And
I think it's going to be 2028. That's my earliest date for that.
I really wish you wouldn't have to keep, repeating the whole thing that Gunn himself has even said more than once now, that this Batman is not going to be integrated into his plan. It's clear as day, Elseworlds.
Yeah. Let's see. We have the Dynamic Duo movie. I think it's a blend of like different types of animation, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It's like puppetry and animation. That comes out on June 30th, 2028. Still a ways away. If you'll notice, there's big gaps in this cinematic universe. There's like huge gaps of time.
Yeah.
So far. I actually think some of these may move up if Superman does well. And we might see new things announced if Superman does well.
That can fit in between those gaps that will take less time to make.
Yeah. So Waller is currently just in development. Nothing new on that. No new updates. So that's what it is. Authority is still in development, but now I think the last time we heard from it was going to be like an animated film.
Wait. Is Clayface September 11th?
Yes.
Yes.
That someone just like said it's 9/11. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a second.
Yeah. Well, it'll actually come out on the 10th because Thursday nights are like basically film nights now. So I know they're trying to stick to that old thing about Fridays, but Thursdays pretty much are movie releases. I've even seen theaters doing Wednesday night early viewings at 12. So anyway, Authority here is going to be animated, I think. I'd rather it be live action, but if we have to go animated, we have to go animated. It would definitely be cheaper for them to do it as an animated movie. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this until I see how the engineer is in the Superman movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're going to do this movie, the engineer has to connect to these characters. So it's going to be interesting to see like if the authorities even mention Superman. Do you think they're going to mention it at all or no?
Potentially not, because now its fate is kind of uncertain.
Because I feel like the engineer is a main character of the authority. So it's kind of weird that character is hanging out with Lex, but
I mean, there may be an in passing mention, just in case they're not able to move forward with it. That way they don't, set themselves up for something big and then they're not able to meet it.
Yeah, that's true.
So is that girl with the wings part of like
that's Swift.
Hawk Girl? Like
no,
where
no,
she's
no,
from?
no.
That's Swift.
Okay, so
She's kind of like the Flash with wings, sort of.
Yes.
So, there's another one that's kind of just in development, which is the Paradise Lost TV series. I see a lot of people still talking about this, wondering if this is the right direction to introduce the Wonder Woman lore into the DCU. You guys have any thoughts on that?
I'm personally just tired of all of those shows and properties where it's like the hero's world without the hero, Krypton. And like, I liked Gotham for what it was, but if we could actually not, I get you want to do world building, but I don't. I think this is not going to be something that grabs a lot of people. You can still do that Themyscira world building with Diana in the lead.
I don't know. 3Dub, what do you think about this Wonder Woman world without Wonder Woman?
I don't like it. It's like what they're trying to do with the Spider-Man. Silk
Yeah.
without Silk.
Oh, hero edging. Yeah. Styrivore, I see your super chat. I'll save that for when we get to the Spider-Man stuff. So don't worry. I see it. Then we have The Brave and the Bold, which is, I believe this movie is on hold for the Batman movie, which is the part that sucks for me because you could probably get this movie out before Batman if they really wanted to.
I would kind of rather see this.
Well, me too. I agree. Yeah. But I feel like with all of the gaps in time, say for example, the Batman gets pushed back to 2028. What is stopping them from going ahead and developing this movie and having it out by 2027? What's stopping them from doing that?
Right.
Nothing.
No.
So I would love for them to definitely, definitely step up the pace on this one.
And casting for Damian Wayne gets shorter each time because they have to figure out they may have to change actors as soon if it gets pushed back because the actor grows up.
What's up, Anthony? Gwendolyn here says, I disagree. I like Gotham up until the last few seasons and Krypton started great. I was sad it got canceled. It had promised to be something good, especially the take on the Zod family. I didn't watch all of season 2, unfortunately. I watched bits and pieces of it, so I don't really have much else to say.
So I didn't think those were bad shows. Well, I mean, there were some parts of them I didn't like, but just that concept of the hero's world without the hero has just never been something on its own that interests me.
Yeah. Gwendolyn, this is true. Sci-Fi Network never, ever treats their shows with respect. If you ever watched any of their shows back in the day, they will be shows that everyone's talking about, and Sci-Fi will just cancel them.
Krypton.
Yeah.
Firefly is a big example.
Yeah. I mean, there's that other, what was it? The Sanctuary show that I thought was really good. They got canceled. There's been a lot of them that I've liked over the years that Sci-Fi gets you invested and they cancel it. It was very CW of them. So
Netflix does that same thing. They put one season of a great show like October Faction out, really promise for a second one, and then they scrap it.
Yeah, 100%. All right, here we go. We have the Booster Gold TV series, which is in development apparently. We still don't know a lot about that. As you see, the further we get down this list, it's like all of these things are just kind of circling. They're not. Yeah. Nothing is moving forward with any of these.
Yeah, and we learned about them 2.5 years ago.
Yeah,
or almost.
I mean, I will stand by the fact that I believe one of the biggest issues the MCU had was film cadence after COVID. I stand by that. I think they were very consistently putting out movies at certain times of the year apart from each other. COVID came in and screwed up that release schedule, and they've never been able to get back to that.
Nope.
I think that's one of the biggest problems.
Yeah, there's still a lot of them are still operating in that mindset.
Yeah. We have the Swamp Thing still in development. This one to me is the weird one because you could do this in the DCU and literally not have any overlap with the other stuff right now.
Right. I would like to hear more on this because, looking at James Mangold's past work, it's like, okay, this seems like something that'd be right up his alley, especially if he likes to, make it not like a period piece, but like a character study. We've seen that he's good with those. But I don't know if this is going to come before or after the Star Wars project that he's currently working on.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
That could potentially be impeding this.
I mean, the thing about this is you could do a swamp horror movie and not connect it to anything in the DCU right now, and just have a DCU film that will connect later that you don't have to connect at the moment. You know what I mean? You don't have to tell the bigger story right now. Anyway, that's pretty much it. And there's a few other things here, like My Adventures with Green Lantern, which I can't wait for.
Looking forward to that.
The Starfire series, Superpowers, which I think is for younger kids. Bat Fam, Amazon Prime spinoff show.
Oh, that Christmas animated Batman thing that came out. This is like a spinoff of that.
And then Cape Crusader season 2. I was lukewarm on Cape Crusader season 1. I thought it was okay, but it wasn't great for me. You know what I mean?
Is that the last thing on here? Because I didn't see anything about My Adventures with Superman.
They didn't list that, but I think it's only because that one is confirmed. I think these are all like in development stuff here.
Oh,
So
right.
all
Okay.
in development. So I think that one is. I think they're done with that. They just have
are they
to
done?
wait for the release schedule. Yeah, I think so.
That's good. And I really dug season 2.
So let's see here. We have. Actually, let's look at this. I thought this would be kind of fun to look at. There's a commercial. Have you guys seen the commercial for the toys for the Superman movie?
Yes.
I love this. Hold on, let's watch this.
From the new Superman movie. Watch out! A giant kaiju monster is destroying the city! This looks like a job for Superman! He flies in with a powerful punch! Ew! Slime explosion! Uh-oh, the kaiju is reloading for a bigger battle! Call in the Justice Gang! Get him, Green Lantern! Mr. Terrific teams up! Hawk Girl soars in to help Superman save the day! Boom! Slime time! Superman versus Kaiju Battle Pack. Other figures each sold separately. Superman movie rated PG-13.
So the only thing I wonder is this a spoiler for the kaiju?
I hope not.
I mean, I would hate for them to spoil it in a toy commercial,
Right.
but toys typically contain spoilers.
Right. You like go all the way back to Infinity, or like they announced the Thor toy and you see that the new X clearly has part of Groot on it. That's just one example.
Well, the thing here is that toys can be spoilers or they can be absolutely non-spoilers. Like there's stuff that they do in the toys that we never see. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. We see the fist on Guy Gardner. We see the wings on Hawk Girl. We see that Mr. Terrific is using his tech, and maybe they defeat the kaiju by bursting it open and slime comes out of it.
I really liked this commercial, honestly. It kind of brought me back to, how they would do commercials for those toys and those comic movies, 20 years back, where
Oh, yeah,
like
100%.
you would have that play-by-play of the person who's, going through it. And it's like you're doing like a commentary of, playing with those toys. And yeah, that really brought me back. And I was like, wow, we haven't had that in like a decade plus.
Yeah. Quickly, before we talk about Spider-Man, looks like Lilo and Stitch, regardless of people's reaction to it, is going to do big money in the box office. So
Yeah.
I know a lot of people said that it wasn't good, but it's still making a ton of money.
It was good for live action. Obviously, it changed some things from the original, but it was still good. It was okay.
Yeah, I will say
Not
that
better than the original, though.
I will say this is bad for Mission Impossible. Like 77 million.
It is the last movie, so
Still, though, you think that would mean that it would make more money. People want to go out and see how it ends. So
Lance says, "Turn all your cameras
yeah,
on."
it's not happening. Why don't you come in here, Lance, and turn your camera on?
And if you come in here and turn yours on, I'll turn mine on.
What was it? Hold on, I want to see what the projected numbers of Mission Impossible were. Let's see.
What's the last one?
Final Destination.
Final Destination.
So it looks like they hit exactly, literally where the analysts thought they were going to hit.
Oh, wow.
They said 77 to 78. So they hit their mark, which is good for them, for the analysts that did it. But I feel like that's still low for that film. You might see it pick up a little bit over the week, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a thing like this, past month and a half where, people or films will come out, be well received, not make the greatest opening weekend, but then slowly build up over time because of word of mouth.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to find the Spider-Man news. I had it saved, but I really don't need to read it. I can just talk about it, but let's see what we got here. Let's use this. So there is a rumor now that the Hulk will have a substantial role in the Spider-Man Brand New Day movie that comes out next year. And we did have a super chat over here from Staggervore, $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Staggervore. My theory for how Hulk could be introduced in Spider-Man Brand New Day is maybe Bruce Banner could serve as a professor at the college Peter attends. I've seen that from a lot of people. Do you guys think that's a possibility?
It's a possibility.
Maybe.
There is a theory that they're going to do the comic book thing where Hulk remembers Peter Parker as Spider-Man, but if I remember correctly, Spider-Man didn't really interact with Hulk that much.
They never had a direct interaction, so that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, he was just kind of there. I mean, Hulk might remember his identity because someone else said it.
So the only quote unquote interaction the only time Hulk ever saw Peter Parker's face that we can 100% know is during Endgame, whenever Bruce is looking through all the people that were dusted and he sees that face.
Was he at the funeral though?
So,
Yeah.
Yes, I mean you can assume that they would have interacted there off screen. You just never saw it.
Yeah.
But I mean, what do you guys not remember? 2-3 months back when there were rumors floating around that Hulk was going to appear in the 4th installment of a superhero franchise, and it didn't happen, even though people thought it would.
Yeah.
I mean, could it happen? Yes, but I mean, I don't think people should go in there with their hopes up, and oh man, if this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, and then if it doesn't, they're gonna walk out and be like, "What the fuck, man? Hulk didn't appear in a Spider-Man movie. That's gonna ruin it for me." Some people will go into the theater with that mindset, and they shouldn't. But here we are.
People believe the Nexus Point news and stuff like that. It just
I mean, yeah, true. We don't know for sure, but this sounds plausible because there's been a rumor about the Hulk being in another movie for a while. It might just be a guess, though.
It does make sense in the stint. He will never get a solo film, so for him to be in another movie, it would have to be a team up movie.
Not only is it his whole thing with a solo film, but because of Sony, it's okay, you guys constantly have to put another Avenger MCU character in a Spider-Man movie.
I actually think now that we've looked at this, that might be contractually done because if you go back to the first one, it was Iron Man. The second one, it was Nick Fury. The third one was Doctor Strange and the other Peter Parkers, and then this will be the Hulk. I'm wondering if part of their deal is for money reasons, they have to include an MCU character in the film.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah. So they might think it helps the film do more money by having another character in it.
It would be crazy if they have one of those announcements where Hugh Jackman just walks on screen and is like, "You want to be in another? Want to be Wolverine again?" And he goes, "Sure, Ryan," and walks up the stairs, kind of like that, but with Tom Holland and Mark Ruffalo.
I actually think this deal is kind of stupid because I think a Spider-Man movie would make a lot of money whether there was an MCU character in it or not.
Right.
But that's just me.
And they're, especially with these Holland movies, more so Far From Home and to a lesser extent No Way Home, people the least memorable thing for them coming out of some of those movies was that original Marvel, or that additional Marvel character that was added onto there. That is not the thing they walked out of the movie saying, yeah, the movie was good because X other character was in here. That's not what the reactions have been.
All right.
But I mean, I was talking about this too earlier. I was like, Hulk could be, I mean, Spider-Man will probably recognize the Hulk because they did fight together obviously in Endgame, but he will probably recognize the Hulk as an Avenger, and that could be the thing that reintegrates Spider-Man back into the world of the Avengers.
I think it's what's kind of funny is he has a one-sided deal with the whole mind wipe because he remembers everyone else's identities, but no one remembers his.
Yeah, that's part of magic, I guess.
So he'd probably recognize him no matter what. Oh, you're part of the Avengers.
I've gone over in detail my opinions on why I have an issue with that, but it's magic, so it's really hard to argue against it. So
I think there's a loophole because I think there's like a loophole in like magic in general. Like there's a way to unravel it, and also there's also a because there's the warning sign after the spell, as Wong says. There might be a warning.
I think you're right. Like that's a possibility. Jonathan here says, "Will it be Professor Hulk or regular Hulk?" I think it might be a combination of both. I think we might start out with Professor Hulk, and then it ends up being like Savage Hulk by the end of the film.
And there's going to be like a battle between them two.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think
that would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool.
It'll be very Iron Man-esque. They keep wanting to make Spider-Man Iron Man over and over and over again, I swear. My cat's at the door. I have to step away for a second, so you guys can just... If the chat has any questions for Jake or 3Dub, ask now before I get back.
Even though Spider-Man made more money than any Iron Man movie I ever hoped to. The only reason Iron Man 3 made as much as it did is because it came off the coattails of the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about a movie that could have been so much better.
I did not like Iron Man 3.
Hell, I didn't like Thor 3. What do I know?
What was kind of funny is they kept like hinting at the Mandalorian, and we thought we got the Mandalorian, but then we didn't get the Mandalorian.
Wrong.
Huh?
You're saying that completely wrong.
Like there were.
It's not Mandalorian. That's Star Wars.
Oh, Mandarin. There we go. The 10 Rings. We kept getting the hint at the 10 Rings, and then it wasn't really the 10 Rings.
Nope, it was not.
I just like Mandalorian so much.
Well, Quindlen, I mean, I think it's just a miracle that we got him in more movies after Iron Man 3 because RDJ was going to be done at that point. So what, we got him in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movies after that. Yeah. No, 2 wasn't particularly great either, but 2's biggest problem was they kept setting up storylines and then they just didn't resolve them. Like, whole storyline about, they abandoned the Whiplash stuff. They set up the whole Justin Hammer bit. That doesn't go anywhere. The whole, like wanting to, the whole thing about the government wanting to get, his property by his weapons. They abandoned that plot line. That movie was definitely hurt due to being an Avengers setup movie, but I mean, there are worse films in the MCU, but that is certainly not a good film.
I think its only purpose was to introduce Black Widow, so she didn't feel like she just like showed up out of nowhere.
Well, and they also turned Rhodes into War Machine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm back. Sorry, my cat knocked over a bunch of stuff. That's why I was like, I had to go away for a minute. She's we moved things around in this room, and she keeps knocking over the stuff outside the door, so it's really loud for me. But I don't think you guys heard it. So unless you did, I don't know if you did or not.
No.
Anyway, all right. So let's talk about.
I don't know why my comment just duplicated.
It's probably going to both the Debunks channel and Eric's Reloaded.
Yeah, I streamed to 2 channels, so it's probably.
Oh, you're cool. Look at you.
All right, hold on. Let's do this here. All right, we've got.
Yeah, I was agreeing with Quindlen down there. That one was a setup movie that hurt because of it. And if anything, I'll say that's what hurt Brave New World too. Is that I commend them for doing all this stuff to tie up stuff in the universe, but the film kind of hurt because of that.
Oh yeah. So 3Dub, I need your confirmation. Somebody sent this to me and said Batman died in Smallville, and this is the Batman in the background.
It was basically a future prediction, which never came true.
But is that supposed to be Batman?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, who was it supposed to be then? You're the Smallville expert.
It was actually just some basically randomness. Like it was a during episode 6 of season 1, Hourglass, it was basically a like a premonition that Lex is going to be evil and covered in blood from his massacres, which he didn't actually become evil because he just became president.
Shout out to Ronan from Party Nation in the chat.
Ronan, what's up, man?
Right?
Yep, yep, that's Ronan. That is him.
All right, let's get into the controversy. All right, so, all right. I'm going to start this out by saying that I'm not a big fan of Harry Potter, so I don't really care one way or the other, to be quite honest. I also don't have a favorable opinion of J.K. Rowling, so again, I don't care. But what I'm seeing is a lot of hate directed towards these child actors, and that pisses me off because they don't deserve, just like the Skeleton Crew, they don't deserve people attacking them on social media because of a casting. So, like, whether I agree with these castings or not, which, spoiler alert, I don't care because Harry Potter is not a big thing that I watch. I think it's awful. These kids are going to get a little bit older. They're going to go on social media and find all these videos of people making fun of them. And it's for no reason whatsoever. Because you can't, there's no reason to go after the kids because they were hired for a job. That seems really stupid to me.
Right.
I do realize people like the OG cast. That's the cast that I know because that's the ones that I watched. So, yes, I love the OG cast. Do I care about a new cast for a show that I may or may not even tune in to watch every week? Not really, but that's just my opinion. And J.K. Rowling has signed off on a black actress playing Hermione in a play before. Like, she said, like, I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me. You know, it's fine.
Yep.
So, and she's also heavily involved in the production of this show, which means she would have known about this casting, just like she knew the one about Snape, which I know people have their opinion about that. But my thoughts on this is that the kids should not be the target of online hate. I just don't think that's cool at all.
I mean, none of the actors really should be. Let's be fair.
Yeah, true. But I mean, these kids haven't said anything. What I mean is, like, when an actor says something controversial, if somebody wants to respond to that, even if I don't like what their response is, at least they're responding to something that was said. These kids haven't said anything. They were just cast in the role, and people are going after them.
Yeah. And
I agree with you. Nobody, look, don't go after actors. Don't attack actors or writers or directors online. I don't agree with that. However, these kids have not even made a statement about the show.
No.
So basically, people are just going after them because they saw the picture of them.
And you know, like the people over at HBO, like they've muted the comments on the cast announcement because they don't want what happened, you know, to Jake Lloyd back in the 90s with Star Wars. They don't want that to happen again.
That's exactly what I thought about Jake. When this story dropped and I started seeing the videos and stuff, I was like, that's the first thing that came to my mind was that situation.
Yep, I immediately had flashbacks.
I had flashbacks to Princess Leia.
Oh, the younger Princess Leia. Yeah, that was true as well. She also got attacked online.
Death.
I just, let's be clear here. These are adult men like my age and older who are doing this. That's creepy as fuck. It's very creepy that you have like 45 to 60-year-old men attacking, 10-year-old actress.
Acting as though like you put poison in their lifeblood or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially over something that I don't believe those guys are massive Harry Potter fans. The Harry Potter demographic of readers is like millennials, basically. So
yeah, I mean, I'm in that group. Like I'm in the process of rereading the books right now. But
yeah, but that's primarily a very it's a millennial and maybe Gen Z franchise, maybe. So when they're getting mad about it, I'm like, bro, what are you mad about? You didn't give a fuck about this to begin with.
Right. And let's remember too, at the end of the day, these are fictional fucking characters. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, when these guys were casted the first time around, they were casted because of how the characters were described in the book. The directors and everybody that's going around, they have different imaginations. And I know this is a bit of a minor character, but I still want to use this example. They had a character who was in the original films, a character named Lavender Brown, who was race swapped halfway through the series. No one complained at all. No one
through the movies or the books.
The movies.
Okay.
It's hard to really race swap in a book, Eric. You can't.
Well, no, I mean if they described him differently,
right.
them differently, I guess, depending on who it was. But
they did it halfway through the movies and no one complained. And honestly, these days, like with this whole situation, I don't think there's actually anything wrong with like doing a new version of this because it lets you tell kind of the full story that was told in the books, because the movies had to cut out a lot of, especially the last few books, movies had to trim a lot of it off. And telling that story in a season of TV, it lets you tell the whole thing, but also one of the biggest things that really gets to me here is that they're, again, like I said, whenever these guys were casted before, they didn't have anything to go off of. It was just how the character was seen. But there are people that are saying like, oh, it's going to be, woke, it's going to be this, it's going to be agenda. It's like, just because you're trying to push that narrative that it's going to be, and that's where you automatically think it's going to go, doesn't mean it's actually doing that.
I read somewhere that this series was going to try and be more true to the books. Like the storyline was going to be more true to the books. That's what I remember reading that somewhere. I mean,
yeah, not only in story beats that were left out, but also in certain characterizations, because there are definitely, as somebody who's read the books back to front, seen the movies several times, there were certainly characterizations in the movies that were departures from those of the books. I still really enjoyed the movies for what they were, but I'm not going to sit here and say that it was 1-to-1 translation every time, because it wasn't.
Right. I look, to be quite honest with me, the reason I'm talking about this is because I feel bad for the hate the kids are getting, and it reminds me of all the other stuff that we see online. Mm-hmm. But I'm not waiting in line to see a Harry Potter movie or waiting, counting the days down for a Harry Potter TV show. I know some people are. I mean, Hogwarts Legacy was a big game. Everybody was playing it. So I know some people are. That's not me, though. And here's the thing. I know it's not the other guys my age either. That's the thing. Like, I know it's not them. None of them give a fuck about this. The only time they talk about it is when it's, like, hateful shit.
Yeah. And, as somebody who's a fan of the books and movies, I'm not necessarily, striving for this. Do I think this needed to exist, really at all? No, I could have gone without it, or maybe if they wanted to wait like another 5 years or so before trying it again. But also, again, these actors and the people involved, it's part of their job. They're brought on to play characters. Right. I'm not going to say that anybody should be put out of a job in this industry. And, it's, that one person that sees this and, gets triggered by it, don't watch it. That's all you got to do. Don't watch it.
Well, that's the thing is, I don't think these guys were going to watch it anyway. Like, look, I'm a good, I can read people very well a lot of times. It's what I do for a living. I'm a DJ. I have to read the crowd. So I can kind of tell what a vibe is. And do I believe those guys watch Star Wars? Yes. Do I believe they watch MCU stuff? Yes. Do I believe they watch The Little Mermaid? Fuck no. Do I think they watch Snow White? Fuck no. Do I think they watch Harry Potter? Fuck no. They don't watch any of this stuff. I don't believe that they do. And if they do, they're not watching it immediately because they're interested in it. They're watching it so they can make hate content about it.
Yep. That's all they feed off of that controversy and shit. And it's sad.
So, these kids, I don't want them to see any hate. Am I watching the show and defending the show? No, because I'm not a huge fan of Harry Potter. I know a lot of people in chat are. But they don't deserve to be. Look, my biggest concern with these kids when they grow up old enough to be on social media and stuff is they're going to see all of the hateful stuff that's been going on between the actors of the OG series and J.K. Rowling, the back and forth between them. They're going to get to see all the hate coming from all these channels talking about them. And believe it or not, they are still human at the end of the day. Which means they're going to see that, and it's going to affect them.
Yes.
I really hope they protect these kids. Basically, when they hired them, they were like,
I don't think so. That's the thing, is I don't think they do enough to protect any of these actors. I'll be honest. If an agent signed a kid up to play on this show, knowing the current status of this community, they are complicit in putting the kids in front of all the hate. Because they already know. The show's going to go on no matter what. HBO has too much money invested. Harry Potter, I made a video about this earlier. The Harry Potter franchise is the fourth most profitable franchise in the world.
Yeah.
So there's too much money in it for them not to do it. Yeah. The problem is there's also too much drama around it. You know who's right in front of Harry Potter? Star Wars. You know who's right in front of Star Wars? Spider-Man. You know what's in front of Spider-Man? The MCU. That's why those are the four most talked about things on social media right now, is because they are the most profitable ones.
And each one of them has got drama to a degree. So like, let's not pretend that like
Oh,
one of
all
those
of
are
them.
obsolete from this.
I think Spider-Man fandom probably has the least like outward drama from it. Like there is drama, but not like the MCU and Star Wars and now Harry Potter. Like
Yeah.
Spider-Man is an individual character. There's drama around like Miles Morales and stuff like that, but around like just the Peter Parker Spider-Man, there's not a lot of drama around that character that spreads outwards.
I'd say Star Wars is probably the worst in that regard.
Oh, it absolutely 100%.
The only Star Wars is the only like that toxic fan base. That is the only fan base that what's the word I'm looking for? Exceeds the Snyder cultists in terms of how toxic it is. Star Wars is the only one that does.
I could not believe. So I'm not a big I'm a casual Star Wars fan, so I typically just kind of watch the movies and the shows as they come out. I don't dive deep into like the expanded universe or whatever. But yeah, so for me, when a friend of mine told me, I think it was Omega that told me this, how toxic the fandom was, and I was making a video about Star Wars, and I went into like the Reddit and stuff. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It is bad. Even the official pages, like the official communities are bad.
Yeah.
They're all bad. And the thing is, I believe to some degree that a lot of us in my generation, like the Gen X and Zillennials, that a lot of us want things to still be made specifically for us, and that's just not the world. That's not the, like, there's a reason why demographic cuts off at 45. They do like, what is it, like 23 to 45 or something?
Yeah.
That, or I think it's like 18 to 45 actually now. But 18 to 45 demographic, that is the biggest chunk of people that spend money on things like this because they go out for entertainment. They go out to movies. You want to connect to that audience. Even though, yes, my generation has money. Like there's not some loss of wealth in Gen X, but Gen X doesn't go out and spend money the way other people do. Like I work in nightclubs. The average age of somebody that comes to a nightclub is probably in their 30s. I would say like mid 30s, between 30 and 35. Those people spend money in nightclubs. You know who doesn't spend money in nightclubs? 50 and 60-year-old men.
Yeah. And a lot of those 50 and 60-year-olds that are stuck in their ways, and I've interacted with a number of them, so I can confirm this. When it comes to like all these forms of entertainment, whenever they see one thing, it's like, okay, this is the one way this thing has to be done, the one story it can be tell. Move on from it, on to next thing. You can't do anything more with it, and that is absolutely the wrong mindset to have about a lot of that stuff.
Well, you know what I do? Like, if there's something that I love, I go back and watch the thing that I love. That's what I do, right?
Because they go, oh, well, it's not like this thing. It's like, you want it to be like that thing? Go watch/read that thing.
Yeah. Like, a good example is, I don't know if you were on, we talked about it, but the movie Vibes, remember? I think you were on, we talked about that or whatever, right? Jake?
I think.
Anyway, it's an 80s movie, right? With Cyndi Lauper and Jeff Goldblum. We were flipping through and I was like, I love that movie, right? If they made a remake of that movie today, I might not like it. But guess what? We went back and we watched the OG and we loved it. We're like, this is a fun movie. It's an 80s movie because we watched it growing up. All of these things that you love when you grow up do not get erased because a new one comes out. Right. Like, you can go back and watch the stuff you love. It's
Roadhouse.
fine.
Roadhouse is an example.
Yeah.
They just had the new Roadhouse come out, and like I went back and I watched the old one. I was like, because it was one I was more familiar with, and then that new one comes out. It's like, I didn't hate this. I still favor this other one, but I'm not gonna put a hate campaign against the new one.
Yeah. Sheldor, it's not 50. I know that. It's not 50. Let's see right here. There's a comment from Harrison. Where I live, the average clubbing age is like 18 to 25. Yeah, I mean, I would say, well, we don't do 18 and up at the clubs that I play at. It's 21 and up, so it's going to skew a little bit older. But still, that's the demographic that's going out and doing stuff, not 50 and 60-year-old men. They're just not going out. Hey, what's up, Lone Wolf? Good to see you. Look, Jay Bird, I can watch things made before now. Exactly. I can't tell you how many times I've gone back and watched shows that I loved back in the day.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm tired of current TV, so I'm going to go back and watch something that I really loved, because in this era, you can go to some streaming service and they probably have the whole season, all the seasons there for you to watch.
Yep.
So it's just dumb. It's just so fucking dumb. So dumb. Gwendolyn here says, that's how I am. I love classic films from 1920. Yes, that's a great era of movies.
Yes.
Same with music. Yeah, I play a lot of Y2K music at the bar. Like, that's the demographic. I don't listen to radio. I don't know anything that's out. I listen to old school music with artists I love, and new music makes 10. Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to do it.
With like with music and stuff, I am so like just stuck back in that order time. I'm not saying I have negative opinions for stuff that's coming out now because I don't listen to a lot of it. So I'm not going to pretend I have an opinion on something I haven't experienced. But that's just the stuff that I favor, so I've stuck to it. But if somebody wants to get into the current stuff, probably because a lot of them are younger and growing up with it, more power to you. It's just not my thing.
Well, the thing is that I've actually gone to school for music production. And one of the things we learn is that the average person, I've said this here before in the chat, the average person stops looking for new music around the age of 35. Around the age of 35 is when you know what you love and you go back to what you love over and over and over again. That's not saying that someone can't. Like, I listen to new music as well because it's part of my job, but the average person stops looking for music around the age of 35 and they just continue to listen to that music throughout the rest of their life. And that's the way it typically is. And so, yeah, I stopped at 20. Yeah, I mean, it can be different for everybody, but 35 is like the end cap on the average. So, you talk about music and stuff, like a lot of times I'm playing new stuff. I'll get people that come up to me at the club and they'll say, hey, can you play old school? And I'm like, you want some Y2K stuff, some 90s, some 2000s? They're like, yeah. So they want to hear Usher. They want to hear
Green Day.
Green Day, yeah, Green Day is another big one that I get. I hear a lot of people, like, I actually had somebody tip me $15 to play Creed the other night.
Wow.
I'm like, I haven't thought about Creed in probably 2 decades, You know
what? I would be surprised if somebody asked you to play there. I'd be amazed if anyone going to those clubs even knows this, but Grand Funk Railroad.
Oh, that's classic though. I get a lot of classic disco stuff and funk stuff. I do. It just really depends on the crowd. But the thing is, even the younger generation, like if I have people coming in now that find older music on TikTok, surprisingly. Yeah. So like the Usher stuff or whatever, that Tamia, Michael Jackson, there's dances on TikToks that, or Michael Jackson or whatever, they'll come in and they'll ask for that stuff because they heard it on TikTok. So old music is still out there in circulation. People are still listening to it.
Oh yeah. Can you go, that one comment from Lone Wolf talking about that casting rumor? I just want to address that question.
Yeah, sure. Let me find that one really quickly. All right, here, this one.
So don't believe any casting rumor you see for something X-Men related. They're not going to look to cast for those characters until the script is done, and the script is nowhere near done.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that a little bit the other day, is that they're not. Yeah. There's nothing out there right now.
Right, because we were shooting down the Denzel Magneto rumors, and like on that point, he's got a role that's being ripped for him in the third Black Panthers, so that by default kind of takes him out of the running there.
Yeah. I love Isley Brothers as well.
Oh,
the Growly Bear, no, but I don't always play dance clubs. I play different venues, so the music is different depending on where I'm going. Typically, special events skew older. So like, for example, I had a birthday party on Saturday that I DJ'd. Everybody there was like 40 and older. But they were there just to hang out. They wanted background music, and that's where I got the tips for like the rock music.
Was the Creed song "Arms Wide Open"?
No, it was actually. I have played that one before. I think it was like Prison of Me.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, that's the one I played. So
you said Prison. The first thing I thought of was Prison song by System of a Down.
Oh no, it wasn't that. Although I do like System of a Down. So
you love that band.
All right, so let's talk about we've done everything but this one, and I wanted to bring this up because we talked a little bit about it the other night, which is the Michael Rooker stuff from Peacemaker. So it says here, Michael Rooker will play Red Saint Wild, the world's foremost eagle hunter who is on a mission to kill Eagly, which sucks. Like, how are you going to go after a bird? Like, that's fucking crazy. In season 2, Eagly has his own story with his nemesis, played by none other than despicable Michael Rooker. So this sounds funny to me. However, it does not dismiss the idea that he's going to be playing a Native American character, or at least somewhat like appropriating Native American culture, because look what he's wearing in this picture. So I've said before, I'm willing to wait. I don't get outraged about stuff early. Like I don't say, oh, this is going to be this, that, the other, because we don't know. We have no clue. But I think if it ends up being him playing a Native American character, it's going to be very bad for DCU. Because they're not going to... People that are going to address that, and I've talked about why, are going to say he's taking the role away from a Native American actor. He's taking the role away from a Native American character they could have used from the comics. This is an original character for Peacemaker.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to how they're going to explain this straight up white guy dressing up like a Native American and make it make sense. The only thing I can imagine is he's using this as like his power to connect to nature or something, but even that doesn't necessarily forgive the situation. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be a rough one. I'm going to wait and see how this plays out, but this does seem like it might be a problem for the DCU.
I was kind of laughing under my breath with the straight up white guy remark when I was thinking about. I was like, wasn't he blue in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes, he was. So he took the role from a blue person as well. So,
Oh no, he took all the avatars out of a job.
that's true. James Gunn has so much violence against animals in his movies. That's true, actually, Maestro. I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
Yeah,
You're
not
absolutely
just movies.
right.
I mean, look at Creature Commandos.
Yeah, looks like Willie Nelson. I mean, that might have been the inspiration for the character. We don't know a lot about it. This is the most information we've gotten since the trailer came out. Quindolin says here, that's a mess. Why are they doing that when they have plenty of actors who are Native American they could choose from? I don't think so. Here's the thing. I don't think he was supposed to be Native American. I think he's supposed to be a white guy who is using Native American magic and stuff. That's what I think it is. I don't know if that makes it better. It depends on how the story handles it. But if he is supposed to be a Native American character, which I can't imagine James Gunn would be that bold to do that, considering how progressive he is. I just don't know, but maybe, possibly. Since he's Eagly's antagonist, I hope he's a self-aware type thing with the character being a white guy appropriate. Yeah, so it might... So, okay. In the chat, I want you guys to chime in on this, and you guys as well. This might be a modern version of Tropic Thunder, in the sense that he is aware that what he's doing is ridiculous in that sense. That could be the way it is. I don't know. Lightning Bolt says, looking around his neck, those feathers are trophies, which he keeps. I know, but look at how his hair is braided and the beads he's wearing. It screams like stereotype. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Are you guys, I mean, I know 3W, you've talked about it a little bit, so you don't really, you're going to wait and see because you don't care about the show anyway, right? Like Peacemaker. Yeah. Jake, do you have any opinions about this at all? Like, I feel like this is something where we have to just wait and see what the story is going to be, honestly.
I mean, that's how I am with Peacemaker as well, because like I said earlier, I wasn't that big a fan of season 1, so this is not something I'd look too much into. I'll just wait and see how they do it.
So we'll wait and see. Like, if they release more information about this character and they say that he's appropriating Native American culture, I think there's going to be an uproar about it. We'll see where that goes, just in general. So we're going to move that there. So I have a couple more small things to talk about, and then we're probably going to wrap it up because, like I said, it's going to be a short night for me. I'm definitely not feeling up to it. Here's one thing I wanted to talk about. The Deadpool and Batman crossover comics that are coming out. Apparently, Marvel is doing one and DC is doing the other. So the Deadpool and Batman is done by Marvel, and the Batman and Deadpool is done by DC.
You're telling me Marvel and DC can work together?
So here's the cover for the Marvel version.
I still like the Superman versus Spider-Man comic.
And here's the cover for the DC one. How are we feeling, guys? Or is this a good combo? Because I feel like Batman doesn't really blend well with Deadpool, but that's just me.
That, and also Deadpool's unkillable. I mean, how are you going to subdue him?
Well, we don't know if they're going to be fighting like each other the whole time. Like, they're probably going to team up at a certain point to do whatever they're going to do. But my issue is the personalities are so different. But keep in mind, Batman is the most popular DC character, and Deadpool right now is the most profitable MCU character at the current moment.
Yeah.
Next to Spider-Man. So it's not a big surprise to me they would be doing this. Any thoughts on this, you guys? Have you heard anything about this or no?
It'd be an interesting read. Isn't that the logo from the Ultimate universe?
Which one? The Batman logo?
The newest one.
I don't think so.
So go to that other picture.
Yeah.
That kind of resembles, I think it might just because of the angle, but that one sort of looked like the bat symbol from the Matt Fraction one that's coming out, but I think it's just
The
because
costume that everybody likes, right? The one that pretty much everybody likes it.
yeah, because the Matt Fraction one, like the symbol is like 100% bright blue.
Yeah.
But I think it might just be because of the angle that Batman's facing in this shot. Because in that other one, it doesn't look like it's bright blue.
Makes sense. 3Dub, are you a fan of that? Are you gonna buy this and read it or no?
I'm probably gonna read it, but I'm not gonna buy it.
Oh my god, that was funny. We also have the casting for Jocasta from Vision. I wanted to mention quickly. It's Nia Miller has been cast as Jocasta. Now, as you can see, the very first reply has got a warning tag on it, so I'm pretty sure what they are. I'm not going to scroll down on any of these replies. Jocasta is just a female Ultron, and she has been shown without armor in the comics, I think, in the past, but she's primarily just shown in her like metallic form.
She's also been in the past, rather than a female Ultron, she's essentially just been kind of what you saw in the MCU with the Friday AI. She's also that role.
True.
Where she hasn't had a physical form.
I actually think this is fine with me. I don't really have an issue with this because, again, it's essentially, as far as I can tell, there's going to be CGI and voice acting. So, again, why are people being racist? I don't get it. I don't understand.
Because they want to find something to complain about, and
it's
sadly,
so stupid.
Sadly, I hate to say it this way, but sadly, that is an easy target for them to go after, even though there's nothing to go.
Well, that's it, because there's nothing else. They can't only attack the surface level stuff. That's all they can do.
Actually, here, let me rephrase that. It's not an easy target. It's where their mind automatically goes.
Yes. But I will agree that it is an easy thing to complain about because they kind of already have the argument set up. So, anyway, I'm excited for the series. I don't know exactly what role she's going to play in it. I mean, I know role in terms of what her character is going to be doing. But
she could be that sort of Friday character that we were talking about, just serve as like another form of AI.
We don't even know if we're going to see her.
Yeah.
She might end up being just a voice that we see or hear. So, let's see. Lone Wolf says, sent you something I saw in Peacemaker, a few details. Okay, $2 super chat. Thank you so much. So, all right, this will be our, we're going to wrap it up after this because I'm not feeling great. So here we go. Details on Peacemaker Season 2. Takes place 2 years after Season 1. Has a new opening dance sequence. That's cool. Michael Rooker's character is hunting Ely. Yeah, we read that. New look will be shown at San Diego Comic-Con. Ties directly to Superman and what comes after. Wow, directly to Superman. That's... What? Ties directly to Superman.
That makes sense, because I think that if by the end of Superman, I think the Justice Gang is going to split up.
Maybe. Other DCU characters will appear. We knew that. One really big cameo has been teased for the end. Well, it has to be either Superman or Supergirl, because there's nobody else that. Or wait. It could be one of the characters introduced in Superman too.
Someone said Jon Stewart from the TV show.
I was thinking it could be John.
Well, maybe. Anyway, yeah, I saw the Gen V poster, but we'll talk more about that on Thursday. I will do a slightly longer stream on Thursday if I'm feeling better. So, but with that being said, I want to thank everybody. We had a few super chats. Thank you guys so much for doing that. Thanks everybody for being here. I know it's a very short stream, but I need to go lay down. I feel like I have a fever tonight, but we'll see what happens. Oh, wait, we got a super chat. Hold on. $5 super chat from Cameron. Eric, have you seen that Superman has a new form that made him invincible against Kryptonite in the recent Super? Yes. Yeah. I did see that because I went out. Yep. I have been buying more comics left and right. So we will talk more about that on Thursday. If you want to come out on Thursday and chat with us, that would be great, Cameron. But thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. So, yeah, I will. If I get, I'm not non-functional right now. It's just kind of annoying. So if it gets worse, I will go to somewhere and get something. But right now, it's mostly just sneezing and sinuses. So I think it's a combination of a cold and allergies, which sucks. But anyway, yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for the chat and the super chats and stuff. We will see everyone on Thursday. Bye.